Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Wednesday night. It's 9 o'clock. First of all, we like to say normally this is where you find ridiculous speculation. But in 4 weeks, we've had 4 time slots. So tonight, Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock, from henceforth, will be ridiculous speculation. And as always on RS, we start with 3 members because somehow Raj never makes it on time. So let's go through the welcomes. First of all, joining us from the lap of luxury, at least on the East Coast this time, B-Chain, Brandon Chain. What's up, Brandon?
What's going on, boys?
And as always, I would call him the star, but I get called pandering to him. The featured presentation of tonight, the one and only Robbie Davis. What's up, Robbie?
I'm always amazed. I mean, I'm not 100% sure Raj has a job, but if he does actually have a job, how he keeps a job, because timing is the one thing you can control. Just be on time. I don't know how this happens.
Be on time and make an effort.
Yeah.
So when we get our Barstool contract, we'll start the show at 9 and tell Raj to be there at 8:30. So that's the only way to get him on the air at the right time. But I really enjoyed last week's a little more free format, so we're going to stick with it. So tonight we're going to roll through some ridiculous speculations. We're going to roll through some stuff that's hard to believe, including Mel Tucker being the most recent joiner of the $100 million club, or near $100 million club. But first, let's find our friend who's always late. Our one in, nope, that's a chat. Somebody's chatting at us. I don't know who's chatting at us. Suddenly, the private text now comes up, and I get your chat messages, y'all. That's a new sensation for me. Who knew? First subject of the night. I am the biggest doubter. I've been here for multiple weeks, and I do not believe in the Tennessee Titans. But each and every week, I come on here and I go, well, they did it again. They did it again. This week, they did it without Julio Jones, without Derrick Henry. They have the best record in the AFC. Is this the Atlanta Braves without Ronald Acuna? We'll start with B-Chain on this one.
Man, it's possible. You look at what Vrabel's doing right now. We're piecing it together somehow, and we've got a makeshift backfield. Offensive line's playing well, but I mean, I just cannot say enough about the defense and the defensive front. I mean, to be able to rush 4, like legit rush 4 and get pressure on a quarterback, I mean, and have 7 in coverage, I mean, that changes the game. That changes a lot. So, yeah, I mean, we're making it. And, schedule-wise, we got the Texans this week. Should be a clear win. As long as we don't have a slip up, just like, the Jets game or whatever. Patriots are going to be tough, and 49ers. Steelers, they're always a rival. It's in Pittsburgh, so that one could be somewhat of a game. They're not playing too well, though. They do have good pass rush. But offensive line's holding well. Man, I like where we're at, and I like our schedule.
Robbie Davis, I'll get your same comments, but I'm going to add some ridiculous speculations to yours. And Shane, will come back. You answer the same question. Sign Adrian Peterson. Jeremy McNichols is already there. But is Dante Foreman the best back that's healthy in Tennessee right now, Robbie?
Healthy, maybe. Gaining steam. I think Peterson is going to be running the ball, and he's getting back in game shape. I think he's going to be there to kind of bridge that gap. McNichols is there on third down. look, this team is set up in a weak division. You got Texans. You got at Patriots that are going to have a long week coming off of the at Atlanta game, which can't wait to talk about that, Randall, that rematch. But then you got Jaguars, you got Steelers, Niners, Dolphins, Texans. Look, this is a team that may be able, even with injuries, to rest players down the stretch. Whether it's the 1 seed or the 2 seed, I think around week 15, they're going to be slotted in where they're going to be slotted in, or at least give or take. And so Vrabel, he learned a lot from Belichick. And one of the greatest things to learn from him is how to prepare a team for a playoff run. Look, he's been the coach, 4 or 5 years, AFC championship game, home playoff game, upset loss. They've been there, and they have been close. And if it wasn't for Patrick Mahomes' $500 million contract, they would have been in the Super Bowl. So this is a team, get Henry back. If Julio gets healthy, if Julio doesn't get healthy, this is a team that can play with anybody. And I'll tell you what, for the first time, maybe ever, as much as I liked Jeff Fisher as a coach with Steve and Eddie, this is the first time I've thought, hey, we don't have a competent coach. We don't have a really good coach. We have a coach that can outsmart the other coach. And that's a huge thing coming into a game for fans, and I assume for players, absolutely.
I agree with you. Let's bring in, hey, Brendan, I know you're in Hilton Head. When you're not talking, if you could mute for us, that would be.
Yeah.
I know I hear the ocean in the background, buddy. Not most of us are not there. So, Rods, welcome. We have donated a watch to you while you've been gone. We're hoping it will help.
Wonderful.
We're not sure. We're talking about the Titans. Talk about the Titans, and are they real? I made a comparison to the Braves after they lost to Acuna.
Hey,
The Titans, since losing Henry, actually looks like a better football team.
I understand what you're saying, but the Braves completely lengthened their lineup by the fact that, again, we talked about this multiple times, that Acuna got hurt 2 weeks before the trade deadline. They went out and got 4 to 6 dudes. That completely changed, them offensively, defensively, and everything. The Titans aren't really – they didn't acquire anybody per se. I mean, Dante Foreman, he's always looked he looks the part, but, there's a reason why he's bounced around the league and been on practice squads and didn't even make it in Houston. Now, I agree that, obviously sometimes when you have a player that gets the ball that much, that, you can – it diversifies your offense, if you will. It's not as one track, but it's not like that was a bad thing with Derrick Henry. I don't think it's like the Braves in that sense, but the defense has certainly stepped up now. If there's a correlation there or not, I don't know. But I'm hesitant to call them a good team. I'm hesitant to put them in the Braves conversation. But the reality is, when your best player goes down, everybody has to step up. And in that sense, you're absolutely right.
Brendan, coming to you. One more round about the Titans. Robbie, I'll hit you with last thought. Brendan, how good is the Tennessee Titan defense?
I mean, small sample size, last 3-4 games. I mean, we're one of the top defenses in the league. But it's been, kind of a process getting there. But, it's all about peaking at the right time. And, we're starting to head into the home stretch, second half. Our schedule gets easier, not harder. We've been through 20 people on IR, like 80 players, starting or whatever. I mean, it's unbelievable the adversity we faced and continue to win and beat good teams, former playoff teams. So yeah, I mean, it's the NFL. Can this team do it? Absolutely. The defense, if they continue to play that way, I have no doubt. And if we can get Henry back, I mean, you do not want to see the Titans in the playoffs. I can tell you that.
Robbie Davis, last question about the Titans. What is success from this point out? And do you expect to see Derrick Henry come playoff time?
Yes, I think Henry will come back. Success is, I mean, I've never been a Super Bowl or bust kind of person. Success is always getting better, right? And what comes, Super Bowls come with that. But there's no, in the NFL, especially today, in today's game, there are no two more powerful components to have than pressure with 4 defensive linemen, and I can control the ball situation. I can run the ball when I want to. I can pass on. I can dictate offense. The Titans have both of those. Now, fumbles happen, interceptions happen, tip balls happen. Things happen. Do I think the Titans are in a really good situation? Absolutely. How can you not? They've got the 3 of their most talented offensive players or 2 or 3, depending on how you want to shake it, are either out or injured. And we signed Adrian Peterson off the damn streets last Thursday, and he gets in, scores a touchdown, plays well. The system is working. And so you get those pieces together at the right time. So success is the Super Bowl. Success is the AFC Championship. Success is improving from last year and improving the young people and keeping the system going. Because we are no longer in the Mike Mularkey, the Norm Chow. Like these people, we now have a solid base of a coach and coordinators, and we are going to build upon that. And so that's the system. The system is the success.
I tend to agree with you. I do think the Titans have took a step into more of a cohesive, almost if I was using a word in college football, it would be program. It's became a franchise now. So you said it earlier. Let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons. Just for a second, what a dismantling by the Dallas Cowboys. You go and face your old head coach. He holds you to 3 points. Your defense does nothing against their offense. Raj, was this a situation where your old head coach is standing on the other sideline and he knew where and when to attack?
I think it's a situation called the NFL. The week before, Dallas at home gets absolutely punked by Denver, the same Bronco team that Philly just dismantled in Denver. It's any given Sunday. I don't know. Nice haircut, by the way. I don't know the extent of, familiarity with another team. It's the NFL, man. I keep going back to that. I sound like Dante from Grandma's Boy. Hey, man, it's just the NFL. But I really don't have anything aside from that. It's matchups. And early on, a couple turnovers go your way, some penalties, and 1 3 and out, 1 turnover. It's 14-21 nothing. Next thing you know, you get the kickoff of the half, and it's game over. And Atlanta couldn't do anything. Matt Ryan goes from like 350 yards and 4 TDs to like 117 yards and 4 picks. Why? I have no idea. Whereas Bridgewater looks ridiculously great against that same team the week before. I don't know, man. Just the NFL. It seems like every week's a coin flip.
Good point, Raj. Robbie, if it was NFL 2018, I would say, well, the Falcons are due for a bounce back. But on a short week, 4 days after being dismantled, they have Bill Belichick coming to the Georgia Dome. Boy, I don't like this spot for the Falcons. Am I wrong in reading this and saying it's time to load up on the Patriots on the old DraftKings app?
Well, before I get to that game, let's ring the bell for some reckless speculation now, because I've got some reckless speculation going on here.
Speculate.
So this week there was a 43-3 game. There was a 45-7, a 45-17. There was a
41-14.
Yeah,
What about
30,
the Raiders?
30, 17, 41-14. So, and this seemed to be the midweek or mid-season COVID test that you see people starting to pop. I think, again, reckless speculation. I think this was the time where a lot of players tested positive or didn't get negative tests, and there were a lot of meeting rooms that they weren't all in this week. There were a lot of blowouts in a league that usually doesn't have blowouts. And so it just seems to me like something kind of went awry in meeting rooms. Coaches can't be there. A lot that they didn't tell the public because they're required by the Gambling Act or whatever it was that they have to disclose injuries. They don't have to disclose diseases unless it's a can't perform or you're on the COVID list. It just seemed fishy to me about this week and how many blowouts there were.
And interestingly enough, we also had a 16-0 game with Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I would have never dreamed, but that's good speculation. I like that.
Beginning back to answering your question, I mean, I think this is the game Atlanta's been waiting for and the game they're going to dread. Mac Jones is coming hot. Belichick's coming hot, even though I am a firm believer in home teams on Thursday night because of short week. Not this home team versus that away team. No, give me the Patriots. I think it's going to be, Super Bowl nightmares all over again. But I don't think it's a comeback this time.
I'm planning on being busy tomorrow night. That's my tentative plan. So, Brendan Chain, we just talked about it right in Robbie's segment, and we'll move on from the Falcons. Packers Seahawks seemed like the most dysfunctional game I have watched in a long time. Russell Wilson failed to score for the first time as a starting quarterback, I believe, in the NFL. The Packers looked not like the Packers. And, of course, Aaron Rodgers coming off his immunization scare. Wow, did you see that? What did you see? If I had told you over and under 17 points for the Packers and Seahawks, would you have took it?
Absolutely not. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Two elite quarterbacks, you would think that it's, a high-scoring game. But as Raj continues to say, it's the NFL. And, like, some days you have chess matches where the ball's tipped the right way. The, defense plays better on these matchups. I mean, Russell Wilson had 161 yards through the air. I mean, this is atrocious. Two interceptions, sacked twice. I mean, on the ground they were 71 yards. So just a little over 200 yards of offense out of the Seahawks. They look like the Falcons, to be honest, against the Cowboys. I mean, if you compare those two games in the stats, they're pretty damn close. So, I mean, it was a tough one to watch for sure.
It was yucky. Raj, how much did Aaron Rodgers' drama play into that whole storyline of last week?
Sure as hell didn't seem to help either of them. Russell turned into check down Charlie all of a sudden. He averaged 3.1 yards per pass. It was just disgusting. I mean, the weather was bad, but not that bad. He obviously wasn't himself. They couldn't run the ball. But Rodgers, I mean, he definitely didn't look like himself. He had all of his receivers back. I know Aaron Jones left hurt, but Dylan played well. There was really no reason for him, and he just looked off. He was missing dudes. I don't remember how many sacks he took, but he kind of just has this ho-hum, when he gets sacked and kind of gives up on the play and ties his hair in a man bun and, flexes his double discount, double check, whatever. And it just seems like when he doesn't care, he doesn't care. It's like, I'm Aaron Rodgers. It's cool. I'm dating Hollywood actors. He just looked like he wasn't there. And that sort of seems like the story of his career. When Rodgers is on, it seems like it's always at Green Bay, and he's untouchable. But when he's off, it's just like, ho hum, bad game. I don't want to slight the guy. He does have one Super Bowl. That's it. But, we tend to put him in the same category as Brady, and it's not even close when it comes to that. By the way, could you imagine Tom Brady being the immunized guy and lying about that? No. Because Brady is a man of upright character, and he's straightforward, and he does what he says and says what he does, whereas Rodgers he's just Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's kind of clownish.
Robbie Davis, I know you have not been the biggest fan of Aaron Rodgers. Did you feel – let me ask this a different way. I thought Green Bay coming into the season was the second or third favorite in the NFC to go to the Super Bowl. I don't feel that way anymore. Do you think that that's the distraction that Aaron Rodgers has been that team this year?
I don't know if he has been a distraction thus far as much as he has now become an internal disappointment. Like, you're the leader, and we
Right.
all, like, I don't know, and nobody knows the percentage of people that wanted this or didn't want this, but they got this as a team to fight as a team sport. And to see your leader, well, one, not do it, but then lie to you to do it, like, that's just has to be demoralizing, right? Like, I can't, and this is again a little bit of reckless speculation, but I can't speak for Tom Brady. I imagine I'm thrilled to go watch this ESPN Plus Man in the Arena. I can't wait to see this. I imagine that Brady won't put anything in his body he doesn't know exactly what's going in on him. But you know what? He wants to win. He wants to be there for his team, and he did what he had to do to sacrifice to do for his team to win the Super Bowl. And I think that's what the Packers want. And to have a guy lie to you, like they put their bodies, literally their bodies and their minds on the line every single play for a guy back there, and him lie to them. I just don't know how you overcome that. And like, that's just it may, I've never played professional sports, but it's probably worse than your spouse cheating on you. It probably is.
I was a big believer, Shane, I'll come to you. I was a big believer of Aaron Rodgers sitting in Green Bay and learning under Brett Favre. But it almost seems opposite to me of the Brady effect. Brady left the situation of being mentored by Drew Bledsoe and became a better quarterback. It seemed like Rodgers has came out of that 3-year understudy period with this big old chip on his shoulder that just barely keeps him from being everything he could be. Do you think Aaron Rodgers is elite?
Me?
Yes.
The talent-wise, yeah. I mean, he's got all the talent in the world. But you would think he's such a cerebral player, watching the past few years. But, I mean, you're starting to think this guy's missing a few screws up there lately. Like, what's really going on? I mean, he obviously doesn't want to be in Green Bay. It was a forced situation. This is 100% his last year there. I don't see it coming back, especially after this. But like Robbie said, I mean, I grew up playing sports and football and high school and stuff, which I know professional's a little different or a lot different. But that you're a family in there. Like, you're a team, and you go to war for each other, and you're battling, and like, you don't lie and say or put any mistrust or in misfaith in the guys that are going out there, throwing their bodies in the way so you don't get hit. Like, the locker room morale has got to be completely in disarray right now because of that situation. So I at beginning of the year, yeah, they were, top 5 team playoff or Super Bowl bound, but now I think they're on a free fall, and something's going to happen because I don't see this team making it very far if they do make the playoffs. So.
I mean, he's their team leader, and he put himself. He's their team leader. He put himself in front of the team. That's the one thing you don't do on a team, let alone there's no I in team, but let alone a captain, future NFL Hall of Famer. I'd be pissed off if I was in that locker room. Like, get over yourself, dude. I've said this many times. He was dishonest to, like Brandon said, to his team, to his organization, to a publicly owned, city-owned franchise. If he really wanted to stand so courageously on his ideals and beliefs, then, have the balls to do what Colin Kaepernick did and stand up for what you believe in. Don't just go out like a chump is what he did. Just a lot of lost respect for the guy, and I'm sure it's all over the NFL, including in that locker room, has changed.
Well, this was, in my opinion, this was the most ill thought out, I guess I'm going to say, decision from a very smart person, from the last really ill thought out decision from a really smart person since LeBron James did that TV thing going from Cleveland to Miami. Like, it was just it's just a stupid play. Hey, everyone has their right to their own personal autonomy, but don't lie about it. Don't mislead people. And hey, if you don't want to get the vaccine, you have your mask mandates, you have all the protocol you have to follow, and just follow it. But to lie and not follow it and put people at risk, it's just so arrogant and just so selfish, and just from a guy who's, I think he's smart. I don't know. It was a really dumb play.
Ron did raise $2 million, by the way, for the Boys and Girls Club from that announcement. So it's not quite put him in Aaron Rodgers category.
He could have went and talked around Boys and Girls Clubs around America and raised that money. It was still a stupid decision.
Yeah, it was a very selfish, and I think it was premeditated. Obviously, he knew he was going to get hit with that question, and to dodge it like that, where it just kind of flew under the radar.
It was a planned response. I'm immunized.
For sure.
You didn't come off the cuff of that. You
exactly.
That. You practiced.
He thought he was smarter than everybody else, and he'd get away with it.
That's right.
So the $1 million question, though, let's move on to the next team we were going to talk about. Aaron Rodgers is for sure the leader of this team, but I feel like the Rams have injected a little poison into their team with Odell Beckham and Deshaun Jackson. And that football team does not seem the same. If we're saying Aaron Rodgers is one bad apple, do the Rams have 2 bad apples that's causing a little internal strife? Start with Robbie on that one.
The Rams have Tampa Bay jealousy. Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl in their home stadium last year, and the Rams are desperate to do that this year. They are going all in, but they are going all in without a vision. I think they started 5-2. They're getting troublemakers now into this locker room. That they don't need that division, which looked out to be very studly. Now Seattle's fallen off. Seattle's fallen off. San Francisco's rocky. Arizona's really good, but they've got injuries. There was no need to make these panic moves, in my opinion. And you're getting athletes, but you're getting diva athletes. And Stafford has dealt with Calvin Johnson, who was a stud. He was very much a team player stud. You're getting diva now, and so are you running the train off the track? It appears to be that way. So if I'm buying or selling the Ram stock, I'm selling.
Raj, I know you're a Raiders fan, but you're very connected with that West Coast vibe. There is so much pressure, I think, on the Rams to win in LA right now. And it's one of the few times I feel like in pro sports that the city of LA is desperate for a Super Bowl. Do you think the Rams are selling their soul a little bit? A lot of offensive weapons, even after Robert Woods is injured. You still have Van Jeffers. You still have a second-round draft pick in Tutu Atwell that's not even saw the field. Was both of those moves necessary?
Well, you're absolutely right. With a $5 billion stadium, the most expensive stadium in existence. The Chargers moving there was sort of a power play by the Spanos family. We don't need to get started on that. The Rams were originally in LA, and but yes, the corporate following. LA always wants a winner. It's one thing that galvanizes a town full of transplants. The Rams have certainly mortgaged their future. Some of those decisions look like they were great, getting Cam Akers early, but a lot of them haven't worked out. I thought it was odd that, ironically enough, Deshaun Jackson, we never heard a peep out of him. He happened to leave, without saying really a word, and signing with the Raiders. And then literally the next day we find out Robert Woods tore his ACL in practice, which I think it was Thursday and then a Friday, which just seemed odd to me, the timing-wise. Woods is just an amazing player. Oddly enough, John Johnson, the safety for the Browns, said that, wow, Woods got hurt. And he's like, well, with ODB going there, he said, basically alluding towards the fact that it wouldn't matter if Woods would stay healthy or not. That whole offense is around the ball going to Cooper Kupp no matter what. So how is ODB going to do when he invariably does not get the ball the way he wants it to? At least now he's got a better offensive line and a far better quarterback to throw him the football. But yeah, it seems like it's a recipe for disaster at some point. But I was actually impressed with Deshaun. He actually shut his mouth for once. We used to call him Deshaun back in the day. And he did his job for the Raiders, except he got a nice 41-yard pass and then promptly fumbled on that play, trying to make more for Deshaun than going down and getting a first down inside the 20. But yeah, it's I just thought the whole thing was odd. And the Rams are definitely do or die. And there's no question about it. If not, if Stafford gets hurt, half these guys are dying. Whitworth may be older than Randall.
Slightly.
It seems like it's now or never. But I just wish Akers didn't get hurt. I think that changed their season.
Brendan, did adding Von Miller add to the crisis or take away from the crisis? Because to me, you've brought in two. I mean, Von Miller's has been heralded as a good teammate, but it seems like since Von Miller's been there, the defense has not figured out. I mean, you got Aaron Donald, now you have Von Miller. You already have the best pass rush in football. Don't seem that way, though.
He hasn't played.
He hasn't played. I think
He hasn't?
you know,
I thought he played this week.
he played one game so far.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
But it takes a little time to gel. I mean, I'm not out on the Von Miller pick. I think that was great. I think it's going to add to the defense a lot for the pass rush, for sure. So I think that's just, one of those they just need a little bit more time and cohesiveness, will come. But as far as the OBJ situation, a diva, they're swinging for the fences here. Timing actually was pretty nice because Woods did go out, so there is an opening there. Now, what do you have? 2 catches for 18 yards his first appearance, something like that. I mean, is that going to pacify Odell? Probably not. But if he's a ring chaser, like a lot of the analysts are saying right now, then maybe he'll just shut his mouth and ride this train out and take the balls when he gets them. But he could really help if he could stay that course and just, be the 5-6 catch a game guy when needed. Kind of like Mike Evans took a back role, at Tampa Bay. So you can still, show your talent and flash and provide for your team, but you got to be a team player. And is Odell Beckham a team player? He has not proven yet that he can be. So that's a wishy-washy situation that I think is going to hurt the Rams in the long run. He might be walking out or getting benched for, unforeseen reasons. But
I did check my Twitterverse to make sure I wasn't crazy. If you'll go type in Von Miller versus George Kittle, you'll get to see his first effort in a Rams uniform, which is being pancaked by Kittle several times. So
he was, but if you watch the same video, he got chipped by inside linemen as well. So fair enough. All right, just saying.
Robbie Davis, and I'll get it from all y'all. We'll end up on the NFL. We'll get our Brady next week. We're running long. I want one more ridiculous speculation from all y'all. Just quickly, Robbie, finish up on the Rams. Pick me a Super Bowl if you are forced to today.
Titans and Cardinals.
Away from the Chargers.
Yep, they let me down. Titans have picked me up.
Raj,
I'm thinking. I don't know if Buffalo's got it this year, man. I'm going to go off the cuff a little bit and go with Baltimore. The defense seems like it's turned around a little bit. Lamar's Lamar. In the NFC, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow, nice.
I figure with the NFL, you just basically find the wackiest thing you can think of, and it'll probably come true.
I'm with you. Shane, if you don't pick the Titans, it's like Harold when he used to not draft every Titans the first 4 rounds. So who you got?
Yeah, so it's a nice mixture there. Raj stole my thunder on the Cowboys. I do like Titans and Cowboys.
All right, y'all. I can't believe I'm the only one going to say this. Give me Tampa and the Kansas City Chiefs in a rematch. I think we're seeing the Chiefs get a little better, getting healed, getting pointed in the right direction. But give me Tampa and the Chiefs.
The Raiders are good for what ails you.
We have a great subject, and I want to give it enough time, so we'll move the Brady conversation to next week. But it's definitely a conversation that it might be a more appropriate next week because he's getting close to breaking the all-time completion record also. But let's move on to college football. We're 40 minutes in. Let's start with one establishing fact. The college football playoff system is if anything, interesting to watch. We've got our top 5. I'm convinced now that Cincinnati's going to get in when Alabama. I think it's set. Except, does Georgia beat Alabama or does Alabama beat Georgia? Alabama beats Georgia. We'll see. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon. If Georgia beats Alabama, I just feel like Cincinnati's going to get in. What did you think the committee said this week, Raj?
It's kind of like college basketball to me at this point where, what do you think about this team in February and March? I don't. I think let me see the brackets when they come out, and then I'll start seeing it on the matchups in the tournament. All this jockeying for position, this fodder, I think that's what the committee wants. I just, whether they deserve it or not, based upon, their resume over the past 15 years, I find it hard, even with 2 losses, that Bama's not going to be in the playoff. The Ducks, even though they beat Ohio State early, they're not that good, man. I've watched almost every game of theirs. Ohio State, as Brandon says, I don't want to make his tiny big head even bigger, but they are an entirely different team now. They're playing so much better. Cincinnati did all they could, right? They go to Notre Dame, who's the number 8, to their house and beat them. They went to Indiana and won. Nobody thought Indiana would be that bad. I mean, they did as much as humanly possible. Right now, I don't know how this would be possible. I would pick Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and Cincinnati as the 4 best teams. How it's politically going to shake out, I don't know, because Oregon's going to probably play Arizona State, which Arizona State is, or Utah can beat that team. And things generally, the committee's been lucky. They generally unfold as they may. We don't have tons of controversy. Really, I mean, does Alabama? Let's just say they don't even show up to the Georgia game, and they end up the season 10-2. Are they going to be held out? Like, they get an automatic loss. Like, who's going to be in over them? And when they do get in, what are you going to say? It's Alabama. Am I wrong? Do you guys think they have to beat Georgia to be in the playoffs?
Robbie Davis, you've had some strong opinions on this earlier. It's a TV show, correct? And Brandon will get you next.
Yeah, so I don't have the quote verbatim, but I have a summation of the quote. And it was something like, despite the results on the field, the statistics tell us these teams are better, when they justified ranking Michigan over Michigan State when Michigan State beat Michigan. So what they're like, this is all laying the groundwork for, yes, Alabama's getting in. They're getting in. They're going to be the 4 seed, because they're going to say, hey, I don't care what happened on the field. Statistics tell us, 5-star recruits, they tell us that Vegas will tell us, and I've said this all along. Let Vegas tell us who the 4 best teams are. They know the best. Yes, Vegas would favor Alabama probably 17 over Cincinnati. So if that's what we're going to do, then let's just do it. Cut out this damn committee and just put Vegas. Tell us who the 4 best teams are, and let's stop with the Potter. But yeah, I mean,
Vegas is going to get a lot more action on Bama, though. It's not like they're completely.
Right.
They're certainly self-interested, obviously, but I get what you're saying. Whatever their metrics are, they're a lot more accurate.
Alabama is better than Cincinnati, but it goes back to this stupid argument: deserving versus best. And I don't know what people want. I personally want the best 4, but if there's ever a season, I'd like to see put Cincinnati versus Georgia. Georgia will kill them, but just let them in. Let them be in there. And I agree with you, Raj. I think Oregon's losing tomorrow night. I don't think they're going to get in. But I don't want to see Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State. Whoever wins the Big Ten, they're in. I don't want to see them jump over Cincinnati when Cincinnati beat another Midwestern team, Notre Dame.
SMU is no joke. SMU
I don't
goes
particularly
to Cincinnati
want
this weekend.
Alabama and Georgia in, but Alabama and Georgia are going to be in because, yes, it's a TV show. But to keep Alabama number 2 all year long, they are so setting it up for they'll drop to 4, and that's just what it's going to happen.
B-Chain?
Yeah, I completely agree. It is a TV show, like we've said over and over. Oregon they may lose this weekend or tomorrow night, I guess, against Utah. Utah's favored by 3. Tell me that Vegas doesn't know what they're doing. They're a ranked 23 versus number 3 in the country, and they're favored by 3. Come on. That's telling right there.
Ohio State, a 19-point favorite over Michigan State.
Correct. Yeah.
The committee's going to get their ass saved because once Michigan State loses, then nobody will remember the fact they played Michigan.
And, of course, when they first came out, it was all about, we value head-to-head and, all this blah, blah, blah. Now, when it starts getting down to the nitty-gritty and they're handpicking the teams they want in there, the head-to-head goes out the window. Well, then it comes down to statistically better than other teams if they play. It's just BS. So it's a TV show. Alabama's getting in 100%. I think Oregon loses, they're out. It should be Cincinnati. Who knows? Maybe Notre Dame jumps in there somehow. It's crazy.
As we'll start with you. As Georgia separated from the pack,
100%. Their defense is just sick, man. They're so good. Offensively, we did talk about Stetson or Bennett. He's not so great. He's 87th in passer rating, or like ranked quarterback.
that's where we're going.
It's Brad Johnson.
Yeah, you gotta. He's a game manager, and he doesn't create a lot of turnovers. And their defense
Don't screw up when you get that kind of talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't screw up. That's all he does. Yeah. By the way, Adam Anderson has been released on $25,000 bond, which in the SEC means he'll be starting this weekend, no doubt.
So let's swing back to change.
Wait. Before we move on, can I say one thing?
Yes.
I was just thinking about this. I don't know why baseball doesn't adopt the college football playoff model. Just select the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox, and what else is a major market there? Just select those 4 markets and just play those teams every year.
The Braves,
the Cubs,
Cubs, Braves,
Braves, Cardinals,
Dodgers, Yankees, Red
ratings
Sox.
would go through the roof
every year. Yeah, just pick those things. Ratings bonanza.
You just a good point, right? That might be on next week's show.
I just saw baseball's ratings crisis just right there.
I want to.
Anytime you can use the word bonanza.
Yeah.
I want to follow up to what Brendan made a point of. I saw Georgia in person this weekend, and defensively they're electric. Offensively, they play to not make mistakes. If Georgia wins the national championship in the college playoff system and including the BCS system going back to 1998, I struggle to find any team with a quarterback that won a national championship that was just a game manager. Can you win a national championship? Brad Johnson won a championship in the NCAA. He won
not like Ken Dorsey. There's a lot of guys that just their abilities, complement the talent and whatnot. Point he played in the NFL, but he was garbage. Yeah, a big deal though. In the ACC back then, he didn't do anything in the NFL, and no one would confuse Ken Dorsey with a great quarterback. It would be interesting in that sense. But Stetson Bennett is a walk-on. The other option's JT Daniels. They're kind of the same guy, except Bennett doesn't force anything, and with the talent around him, he's perfect for the system. And there's a reason why he's starting. I don't want to slight him because I don't think it's easy to be the head guy when you're a walk-on, at the steering wheel of a bus with freaking 8 million horsepower. Most guys, there's a lot of pressure to F it up. And he completely plays within himself and within that offense. And I know I sound like Skip, whatever his idiot name is, but I don't want to discredit the guy. He in another team on another, he could throw for 300 and 2 TDs if he wanted to, but they don't ask him to, and he's smart enough not to force the ball.
Robbie Davis.
I was at the game also, and I will say, so quarterback-wise, I think of just recent memory, A.J. McCarron and Greg McElroy. Those kind of just game managers kind of seem like what Georgia has. But to touch on Georgia, man, that defense is nasty. And they took one of the most explosive offenses. Granted, we don't talent-wise, they took one of the most explosive offenses. We scored the first time down, got a field goal up, 10 points, and then Kirby adjusted and just put the right pieces in play, and that wide receiver kind of screen, almost basketball play they run, shut it down over and over again. And I honestly do not think that we'll ever see a run like Nick Saban has done. But Kirby's young, and if he adapts this quick offense instead of this, his offense is a let's get ahead and then we'll run the ball. If he gets to a spread offense, kind of what Nick Saban has adapted, man, he is in a gold mine situation of talent and availability of just, and the East is so much weaker than the West of what Saban has to go through. Again, no one will, I do not think anyone will amass what Saban has produced, but Georgia will be very happy with what they have with Kirby Smart.
All right, guys, let's finish up the BCS.
Real quick, do you remember that 2000 national championship? Those were some trash quarterbacks, including that little cherub, chubby kid. He went on to coach. He got really fat. He's a good coach. What's his name? Oklahoma.
Josh Heupel?
The guy.
Oh,
that
that guy.
Hey,
The guy that finished
he came in second for the
second.
Heisman, didn't he, that year?
Yeah.
Yeah, but look at
Yeah,
him.
he was.
They scored 13 points in that championship. The Florida State's 2.
Well, what a great game led by amazing defenses.
Final question. Then we'll go on to a couple more college. Will Georgia win the national championship? Reckless speculation. Brendan Chain.
Oh, probably, but I hope not. They just like you guys just said, and we talked about, their defense is just, I just don't see them getting a whole lot of points put up. So they can keep Bennett game managing. I hate to say it, but yeah, their chances are above average for sure.
Robbie Davis.
If Alabama does not get in, yes. If Alabama gets in, no, Alabama wins.
Raj.
I agree entirely, but I think Alabama's going to get in. Last time they won was like 1980, and they took an amazing running back who's now a Trump supporter, Herschel Walker.
He's a Senate candidate.
I know, only in Georgia.
In a state he doesn't live in, which is amazing.
It's Georgia. Talk about anomalies, though. I mean, if Bama gets in, Bama's the type of team that'll lose by like 3 in the SEC championship game, but then get their rematch and win by 30, and they'll leave no doubt. I agree entirely. Bama doesn't lose more than once or twice. They never lose twice to the same team. So Georgia has choked before. They've been number 1 before. I'm just going to go out and say no.
I'm just selfishly now just hoping Alabama wins it again, just so Saban will be like, okay, that's it, I'm done. I want to retire. Get the hell off of the stage.
I'm going to take a slightly different approach, but I don't think Georgia's a complete football team. I don't think Georgia can get in a shootout with a complete offensive team. As much as Tennessee struggled at times with Georgia, they were able to move the football. I think Georgia's going to struggle when you get an elite offense that has the ability to run the football, which Tennessee didn't with Jamari Smalls. I like either Ohio State or Alabama to beat Georgia, but that's reckless speculation.
Wait.
I give a quick story. Real quick.
Hold on. Randall, call your shot. Do you like Alabama to beat Georgia in the SEC championship?
I do.
Or in the playoffs?
I
or
like
both?
Alabama to beat them in the SEC championship, and I think Ohio State will beat them in the playoffs.
Because Georgia, we all agree Georgia's in regardless, right?
Yes.
Georgia's already in.
Yeah. I think our championship game, if the seedings figure out, is Ohio State and Alabama. I think Georgia's a very, 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 very good football team. Just think they don't have enough offensive identity. Now, could they have found it in the next 2 weeks? Absolutely. But I like Alabama to win the SEC. I still think Oregon somehow pulls it out, but they were very close to being put on upset alert this week. But I do have the upset alert for later on.
Alabama still has Arkansas and Auburn. Those are two tough games.
Isn't Bo Nix not even that great, but isn't he dead? Done for the year, right?
Who watches Auburn?
Arkansas's at home. I'm pretty sure that defense can handle Jefferson. Hey, real quick though, quick story. I'm old and I have a knee and shoulder problem, and I went to a bone and joint orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Jeremy Bruce. Jeremy Bruce trained under famed Dr. James Andrews in Alabama. When I was talking to him, he was telling me like all these like famous athletes in the office and stuff. And I asked him about like, who could a lot of pitchers, he revolutionized Tommy John. And he said that Andrews, and there's actually an article about this, thinks that like his biggest success case was Drew Brees. Because at the time, almost everyone thought Drew Brees was dead, except for Nick Saban. Now, Jeff Ireland, we talked about this before, Miami Dolphins GM, said no. Saban wanted him. And Ireland superseded Saban. Ireland signed Dante Culpepper. Brees went on to New Orleans. Saban goes to Alabama, and the rest is history. So if everybody would have just listened, Nick Saban and Dr. James Andrews and possibly my surgeon, Dr. Jeremy Bruce, we wouldn't be watching Alabama win 8 million championships a year. And
but
that's
the thing
I
about
have to
it.
say about that.
The thing about it, though, is Alabama did this once in my lifetime already. We forget Bear Bryant won 5. So, and played for about 10 more. So, that program's a little different. I hate it. That program.
This is a much more competitive era.
Yeah. You can't compare Bear Bryant. Like, what did he win? 5 over, 30 years?
And weren't they all white half the time?
Yeah. Saban's won 6 over 14 years. That's
in the most competitive era.
Unbelievable.
I will say Saban is the all-time GOAT, but the second best coach is
Bear
Bryant. And I mean, everybody can say what he did, but that program.
I mean, I think Urban's the second best coach in college football history.
We all have our guys.
No, I hate him even worse than Bear Bryant.
Yeah, it's a possibility, but
John McKay, baby.
Currently, we have several openings. One came open today in Virginia Tech. Justin Fuentes, a very hot name a few years ago, would not leave Virginia Tech for the Tennessee opening at one point. Was dismissed today. It leaves LSU, TCU, USC, Washington State, Akron, UMass, and Florida International open. Field positions, Clay Helton has already accepted the position to be Georgia Southern's new head coach. Jim Mora will be moving on to UConn, and Joey McGuire will be taking over Texas Tech. Guys, who else is going to have an opening? And of those jobs, who do you think fits those jobs? Of course, I believe 2 best jobs, LSU, USC, some debate on number 3. Rod, you're the USC guy. Let's start with you.
Man, I don't know. I think USC and Texas are the preeminent jobs in America only because of locale. Yes, they had this history. Alabama's history is second to none, et cetera, et cetera. But, I mean, you want to be in Happy Valley or Austin. You want to be in Southern California, or I'm not going to say Tuscaloosa because they're still Alabama and they've kind of, transcended any of those things. But you get my point. One thing about USC, though, is their best recruiter is Dante Williams, who they made the interim head coach. Williams is basically like every great corner at Oregon. He got SC. The one smart thing they did was sign him. But now, what's he supposed to do? Go back to being, the interim or the DB coach? They had the number 1 DB in the country from modern-day California, a big USC pipeline, Damani Jackson. He was there because of Dante, and he just decommitted this week as well. So SC is just more of a, excuse my language, a shit show. Sorry, Randall, just find me. I don't care. Than LSU is. LSU is kind of an open and shut case. It's Coach O, fold it up. There's really nothing else going on there. USC, I had a buddy that is inside the program, and he told me, like, how long we thought that we keep taking one step forward or one step back, we'll take two steps forward. And basically since 2009. And it entertains, it begs the question, maybe they'll never get back. Now, Tennessee gives me hope because Tennessee has been a trash, just dumpster fire. But they finally have a coach who's, and after losing all of these great guys, they're on the right track. Now, are they going to be the 97, 98 balls? Probably not, but at least you got something to look forward to. It's just a very rare possibility that USC is never USC again. And those of us that have been there and that are part of the fan and alumni base need to adjust our expectations. So long story short, less drama at LSU, I would imagine. A more fertile, even though LA is a huge fertile recruiting ground, NFL factories are in the South right now. National TV games are in the South right now. I don't want to smell like corn dogs like everybody in Baton Rouge does, but I mean, SC it's just not what it was. And you can tell it's obviously affected me, and I'm going to go cry now.
Hey, as a Tennessee grad, it's been a long ways to find. I think we accidentally found a good coach. Robbie Davis, of the openings now, are there anybody you would speculate into any of those big jobs?
Well, let me be perfectly clear. LSU is the best college football job in America. And the only one close is Ohio State. And let me tell you why. LSU has zero in-state competition. They have the pool of five-star athletes they can pull from, that if you are from Louisiana, that's all you want. There's no Auburn, there's no Alabama, there's no Ohio State, there's no Michigan. They want to be at Louisiana. So the last three coaches have been at LSU for less than 10 years each. All three have won a national championship. Think about that. Think about the turnaround of these programs trying to rebuild. The last three coaches, all there less than 10 years, all have won a national championship. And two of the three suck. Ed Orgeron and Les Miles suck. Like they've got Les Miles went to Kansas and got fired. Orgeron can't get a head coach anywhere. They both won championships there. Like, if Nick Saban stayed at LSU, you're talking about Alabama on steroids. Like, there's no joke about that. That's the best job in college sports. After that, so who do I think is going to take it? Well, with Michigan State is going to pay Mel Tucker $95 million. He's not going. So this is going to be a power grab right now. You're looking at the best job with the least resources and the least money as far as boosters go. They've got the SEC money, but not alumni money.
Lowest endowment in the SEC is at LSU.
So they're going to get. So is it Napier from Louisiana Lafayette? Is it Bill O'Brien? Do they go to Saban Tree? There's no way. And let me just stop. There's no way Jimbo is leaving the A&M unlimited resources to go to LSU. Zero. None. So I guess they'll probably go Napier. I actually think Dan Mullen would be a good fit at LSU, but do they hire or fire a Florida coach? That'd be interesting. But then the second best opening, I think, is USC. even though the Pac-12 is down, but it's still USC. They need to rile the fan base up. I think they're going to make a move at Cristobal, but man, Nike money's got Nike money. I don't know if you leave a secure job to go to USC, even though it's a better job, and then Virginia Tech. If they don't go, and please correct me for the name, the guy from Coastal Carolina, from Tennessee, what's his name?
Jamie Chadwell.
Yes, I like him because Dave Clawson has proved that kind of shotgun option offense can work at the SEC. They should go Jamie Caldwell. And sorry, I talked a lot during that little segment, but that's my 2 cents.
I would add, and we'll get to it next, with LSU, I feel like it's almost a Texas situation. Only a bad hire could derail LSU. It would take a bad hire to derail that program. Shane, let's get the guy that just happens to always get the best coach in America somehow, other than Nick Saban at Ohio State.
Well, yeah, I agree with Robbie 100%. LSU is the top job. Like you said, just the in-state competition or lack thereof, and being in the SEC. And I didn't realize that stat until you said it, but 3 coaches within the last 10 years have won a national championship, which is, and like you said, 2 Les Miles and Ogeron. I mean, that's just laughable. That is laughable. But it just goes to show how that recruiting pool is there. And it's such a big name. And I mean, it's New Orleans. Like, people want to go there. So I see potentially Franklin, getting out of there, out of the Big Ten. I mean, he's had his, face ran through the mud enough. I mean, if somebody offers him something, potentially USC or LSU.
Is Franklin still hot, though, Brandon? Is Franklin still hot?
He was never hot.
We don't want him. Dave Aranda is former LSU defensive coordinator. You may have mentioned him, but he's way up there for a lot of us. Franklin is a tool.
Yeah, I know Franklin was early on name, but
I never even, how he handled the rape allegations at Vanderbilt, just disgusting. Like, I've never thought he was that great of a coach. He can get some recruits, but what's the point? He doesn't coach them up.
So I'm going to make some ridiculous speculation here. How about
There's
Shane
a frat
Beamer
party of chains
to Virginia Tech?
Who?
Shane Beamer, the son of Frank Beamer, returns to Virginia Tech after a year at South Carolina.
Why not? It's Virginia Tech. Who cares?
They asked him about that today or yesterday. He was adamant about no. I think that's probably one of those you're not ready to go home again, because I think if Florida fires Mullen and you're competing with Kentucky for the 3rd or 4th spot in the SEC, assuming Heupel stays, and I don't know if you leave South Carolina. The money's going to be better and the exposure's going to be better. Don't be happy than happy.
How about the 2 coordinators at Clemson that have both been multiple time candidates? And I do believe Tony Elliott could have been the head coach at Tennessee, and he pulled his name out before Heupel got the job. But Brent Venables has been a candidate at every job opening in the last 15 years. Did either one of those guys take a job this year, or are they just going to sit there and wait with Dabo?
I mean, how much money are they still getting paid? Because for them to not want to take a head job, meaning that Clemson. I have a theory about dominant programs from small towns. They get away with everything the rest of us want to get away with, but, just a smaller spotlight. Why the hell would Venables stay there unless he's getting paid like just bang and getting
2 point, I think
envelopes
it's
held to
2.1
him?
bill.
Yeah, but he get paid $10 million. Somebody would have paid him to be the head somewhere.
Well, so,
I'd like to see a shakeup at this point. They are human.
well,
Robbie?
so if you're Brett Venables, you're almost in the Kirby Smart category. So what you want, you hold out for a defensive juggernaut, which in theory would be something like LSU. But is LSU going to take a risk on a non-alum coordinator, which Georgia did with Kirby Smart? Kirby Smart was an alum, and he was not just a coordinator, but he was a coordinator under Lord Saban, and so it was a easy sell. I don't care if he has great head coaching credentials. He worked under Saban. Like Saban seems to be the magic wand under all this coaching tree. And so where does Venables? Because if you're like Tennessee, you're hiring Josh Heupel. If you're Ohio State, you're hiring Ryan Day. If you're Oklahoma, you're hiring Lincoln Riley. You want offense because that's where college is going. So a strong defensive coordinator as a head coach, it's few and far between where you're going to go.
Good point. Good point.
LSU was open the last time he was there and people wanted him. I think that would have been a good spot for him. Just saying.
All right, one more subject on college football, and I am a person that we've talked about historic programs, and Tennessee is probably the historic program that has fell the farthest off over the last decade. I'm watching Texas.
Nebraska?
Texas, Nebraska, Tennessee is pretty close race. Let's just call that a stalemate. I feel
Nebraska
like
won 3 in the 90s.
Yeah, that's true.
Last 10 years.
I feel like Texas is headed down a very dangerous slope. They're now a 4-6 football team, a coach that I didn't believe in, and they're tied now. They're paying Tom Herman. They're paying they're paying Stark. Is Texas really a train wreck coming? And we'll start with you, Raj, because I want your opinion. Was Stark a bad hire for Texas?
USC has made so many terrible decisions. They tried to keep whatever semblance of Pete Carroll and Norm Chow they could. So they started with Kiffin, and then they went to Sark. And, Sark would get wasted at alumni functions and then suddenly had an alcohol problem, which he never actually went to full rehab, from what I understand. He had treatment for it. But, of course, the ultimate rehab program, career, professionally, and image-wise, is Nick Saban. So he goes there, and again, these coordinators that work with Alabama's offense. All right, you're ready. Go on, little guy. You're ready to go. I mean, I could be coordinator for that team. And to suddenly put him, and he says the right thing, he is an LA guy, originally BYU, but, he says everything you have to say to a willing alumni base. But Steve Sarkisian is still Steve Sarkisian. And I don't, I know we all think you have to take a step back before taking 2 steps forward, but there's way too much talent on that team. And they just lost to Kansas at home. And they gave up 57 points. Again, we don't want to write the dude off in 1 year, but it's obvious that this is not what they expected. This is not what Burnt Orange Nation expected. Just because you're a coordinator for Ian Kiffin's the same way for Saban doesn't mean much. Just because you're working, it's like being a mechanic on a Porsche. Usually the car is going to be fine no matter what.
All right, Brendan Chain, I'll come to you next. Don't know how much you see of Texas. Robbie, I'll come to you to finish up the subject, and we'll move on to college basketball. Is Texas headed to a Nebraska, Tennessee like downfall?
I think so. I mean, they've got 5 straight losses right now. They're trying to move from the Big 12 to the SEC. I mean, imagine them trying to go to the SEC. Now, I mean, that could actually help a little bit with recruiting, and they're never short on money as far as paying coaches or getting big names there for sure. So I don't think that will necessarily change the game for them, but maybe playing in the SEC could maybe sway a few recruits here or there. But again, I mean, you're going through the gauntlet when you're changing into that conference. So I don't see them coming back for quite some time, if at all.
Robbie, is moving to the SEC going to derail Texas even more? Because I see a perfect storm coming. It's not like Texas ever had trouble recruiting when it was just Texas.
Well, so Texas hired a Saban assistant to be their head coach after they just hired an Urban Meyer says to be their head coach who failed. Like, you just did the same thing twice and expect different results. Like, that's idiotic. I mean, it would be like, oh, hey, I liked my screen on this TV show or this show. Let me hire you. Well, I have no idea how I got on this show. I'm just on here. Randall's doing the controls. Like, I don't know. I'm just here. Like, Raj was a bit right. Like, who can't control this Alabama offense? Like, it's a juggernaut. Saban recruits the best players, and I hate to keep going back to this same well of just argument, but it is. Like, Nick Saban gets the best players, and like, who in the last decade, what offensive coordinator hasn't gone there and done well? None. Like, they all do well. They all get these jobs, and then they felt these jobs. McElwain, Sarkisian, who else? Kiffin's bounced around, but it's like,
what's the guy's name at Maryland?
Loxley.
Loxley.
Yes, it's easy because he has a system to make it great. Same with Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer made it great. He like, these guys know how to coach. Pete Carroll, mix in the offensive coordinators. They know how to they recruit. They make it great, and it's just idiotic to expect the same results because, hey, I came from this coaching tree. I'm going to do the same thing. Like, there's very few Bill Belichick's. There's very few Bill Parcells. There's very few Nick Saban's. There's very few Urban Meyers. And these teams, I don't think they just fall off trees. Like, that's not how it works.
What about like the Longhorn Network? BYU's got their own network. Texas has a
Longhorn
lot
Network's
of
gone.
money. I mean, it's affiliated with ESPN now. It's not on its own.
No, ESPN is swallowing it.
Well, yeah, it's still in existence, though, and it still has a fan base. My point is that Texas is always going to have a willing, hungry, they carry the biggest state in the country, and that maybe not population-wise, but, I don't think they're the most particular people in the world. Like, they will fire somebody quicker than anyone else, in my opinion. I don't think they give a crap about contracts and, Friday Night Lights and all that jazz. I think if somebody's not performing at the University of Texas, they're gone. Remember, Herman was, the second coming of Santa Claus. I won't say JC, but, they barely gave him 3 years, and he couldn't do it. So same thing here. I mean, Texas is they're not going to take it, and value-wise, I remember the Wall Street Journal, this is a few years ago, that I thought Texas was number one. Like, Ohio State was up there, and they were both above Alabama in terms of value rankings and everything. Texas was like 165, 170 million in terms of everything. And they're not going to hold on to somebody like USC would because of a buyout.
I make the point about Texas, and we'll move on to college basketball. College basketball. That they hired Shaka Smart when he was the hottest coach in college basketball. They hired Tom Herman when he was the hottest coach in college football. They both were fired within a 4-year period. So, if I'm a coach and I've got a pretty good job, would I rather make $6 million, $7 million for 3 years and get a buyout, or would I go somewhere that I guarantee that I'm going to be a hero? Texas is getting the Tennessee reputation, I think, in coaching circles.
Well,
and I think that will make people scared.
So all of these. Are we after minute? Can we cuss after 10 p.m. or
if you need to say something, go for it.
Fuck it. Say it.
All right, yeah. So all of these goddamn entitled boosters think they should every school should go 11-0 or 12-0, and they're like Alabama spoiled the well. Like, no, you're never gonna win 7 out of 14. You're not. Whoever you are, if it's Ohio State, Oklahoma, USC, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, you're never going to win 7 out of 14. So just stop it and just calm down and just appreciate the sports of it. Like, the Titans haven't won a Super Bowl since they've been in Tennessee. We've been to one. We still enjoy the games. I enjoy the Vols games. We haven't been to the Final Four ever. Like, just enjoy the sport. College football is so damn spoiled about you have to win it all. Like, no, you don't. Enjoy the damn game.
So, to your point, then we'll move on to college basketball. Tennessee's probably going to go 7-5 this year. And I've enjoyed this college football season much more than some of the ones in the 90s that we went 10-2, lost to Florida, finished 8th in the nation. Because my expectation is not to win all 11 games. My expectation after the last decade is to go to Knoxville, have a good time, compete on the football field. And I think as a fan, I've grown up after this struggle to realize I do this because I love the sport. Not everything's about W's. It's nice to get a few W's. Believe me, it's hard to be fun when Jeremy Pruitt's going 3-7. So, very good point, Robbie. One last subject, and then we'll get around. By the way, if anybody's got someone they want to put on upset alert, you can do that in the final segments. Because I have one person I'm going to put on upset alert this week. College basketball, though, we had a big top 5 matchup, and I sat down with my TV, didn't let anyone distract me, didn't know the score of the game. After the fact,
I was going to say, there's no way you stayed up all night, dude. I stayed up for that game.
I didn't. I got up the next morning. UCLA.
It was worth it.
Nova. I thought UCLA looked dominating. I think the score was a little bit misleading. I think Nova was there at times and could have gotten back into the game. But to me, I was trying to discredit UCLA going into the season. I was so impressed by the Bruins. I left. I know Nova's a good basketball team. Matter of fact, Robbie, when we get to it, we've got a Nova-Tennessee matchup this weekend in Coaches versus Cancer. But, Raj, did you feel like they were a difference between UCLA and Villanova?
Who are you asking?
You, Raj.
Oh, my bad. The Bruins are really tough for me. Again, they're a very similar team. It's not the same, aside from Peyton Watson and Miles Johnson, the transfer from Rutgers and the top 10 recruit. That was the first 4 team last year that USC swept with ease, that Michigan State took overtime, and then suddenly they got hot. Now, Johnny Juzang is a huge part of it. Is Juzang physically going to be an NBA defensive stalwart? No. But Calipari has made some suspect decisions, including letting Juzang go. Johnny Juzang is now an elite offensive player. He is the best offensive player in college basketball, if you ask me. I saw a UCLA team that continued to score and do well. Was I overtly impressed? No, because number one, people love Jaime Jaquez Jr. He can't create his own shot. He's a guy that I think gets a lot of treatment from refs. I don't think he's nearly as good. He's a great shooter, but he depends on the fact that UCLA is extremely dynamic on offense. Tiger Campbell, they have probably the only true pass-first point guard in college basketball. But then again, you got Peyton Watson, another point guard, 6'8", 6'9". Just a lot of guys around. And Juzang hits buckets. But Villanova was there, if not, should have won that game. Justin Moore fouled out late, and Brandon Slater fouled out late.
That was the end. When
if that game's played, 3 times on a neutral floor, I think it's 2 out of 3 either way. Again, the Bruins got hot. They got to the national championship game last year. They're playing with confidence. With college kids, you can't supplant that. That's an amazing thing. But I'm hesitant to say, all right, these guys are number 2 overall. I'll tell you, the best team in the country to me is Kansas. And even though USC beat them by 40 last year, this Kansas team is different, and they can cover all levels, all phases, and that's the team I would look out for. But long story short, no, Nova's going to be a tough play for Tennessee. A young team like that, a great guard like Chandler, you got to play like the savviest guard in America in Colin Gillespie. So they're both very well coached as well. So that should be a great game. But I'm just overall hesitant to say one team's better than the other. But these are some sweet matchups, and I'm looking forward to Tennessee Nova.
Jane, did you get to see much of that game?
Not a lot, but I did go back and kind of watch it afterwards. So my take, I thought UCLA looked pretty well-rounded. They transitioned well. They looked to be the dominant team for most of the game. I get a few buckets didn't go their way or, whatever. But, yeah, Juzang definitely flashed. I thought they looked to be quite a complete team, just as early as it is in the season. Now, are they definitely better than Nova? Let's see down the road. It's just way too early to tell. But yeah, I thought overall that UCLA did play a little better and kind of dominated, especially on the defensive side. I thought.
Good point. Now, Robbie Davis, we're gonna be homers for just a minute.
Wait, I'm going to talk about UCLA Nova.
Yes, you are. But also, after you finish UCLA Nova, I want to bring it back, and I want to go to Tennessee Nova, and we want to talk about Kennedy Chandler. So just take us from one topic to the next one.
All right. So I'll admit I appeared to be wrong about UCLA. They were 11 seed in the last 4 in. They made a run. Before they got hot. So they impressed me beating Nova, although it was in LA, but they played very, very well. Nova's got big guards, and I will preface that with how they're going to play Tennessee. But Nova's got big guards. Jay Wright's a great coach. Cronin's a good coach also. That was a heavyweight matchup early in the season. I think it went to overtime, so teams evenly battled.
Nova up 4 late. 2 guys foul out, just FYI. But no, you're right. Sorry to interrupt.
You're fine. So UCLA, they're proving their worth as a top 5 team. They're impressing me. And so as far as, do we go into next? You want to Saturday?
Go ahead, lead us off.
All right. So
where is the game?
It's in Connecticut, the Mohegan Sun.
Oh, Mohegan Sun.
And so Tennessee Nova play Saturday, and then Purdue and Carolina play Saturday also, and the winners and losers play on Sunday. So this is going to be I don't know if it's going to be the coming out party or the realization for Kenny Chandler. I think it's going to be the coming out party. I can't stress this enough. So one game, first impression, he's the best player I've seen put on a UT uniform since Bernard King. He is that
Allen
good.
Houston?
Yeah. Sorry, Allen. Sorry, Tony Harris. Sorry, Tobias Harris. Sorry, Chris Lofton. Sorry,
I'm agreeing with you, Robbie. I agree with your assessment.
Yeah, he is that smooth. He is that good. And then you combine him with how he can spread out the court. While we don't have anyone down low that's dominant, man, I will put my wagon on Kenny Chandler any day of the week. He's that good, and to facilitate. And then when you have Victor Baylor, Vescovi, Powell, and now Kwamwa can shoot outside, like you can spread it out 5 wide, and you have a lightning fast point guard that can go around anyone. It's a dangerous team. I'm always excited, but I'm very excited about this squad.
Well, I think Nova is better than them now, but later in the year, this is the wrong team you want to play when you're still trying to figure out your rotation, all sorts of things. Nova knows what's up, right? Like the potential for Tennessee is off the charts, but you play them in March, I'll take Tennessee. You play them this weekend, I'm all over Nova.
So, Raj, I actually have a question, and then I'll come back to you, Shane. I saw one game on the TV, and I've seen highlights of both of them. Now, I'm a consumer of all websites, college basketball. I think Robbie's accurate with his assessment. Talent-wise, Kennedy Chandler is maybe the most talented basketball player since Bernard King. But in my opinion, Bernard King is on the level with the top 10 all-time players of all time. So
I love Bernard King. If his knees never fell off, he'd be different, but it was also a very different league back then.
Yeah. But
that's why I'm hesitant to compare. But yes, there's no doubt he has God-given ability, and it's been a while since I've seen that. Like
Telfair, the guy that I keep hearing is Sebastian Telfair compared to Kennedy.
Telfair was never that good of a player. He was anointed during the time when everybody got to go pro from high school. If he would have gone high school or college, who knows? And I feel like, isn't he bigger than Telfair? Like that's a weird comparison to me. It really is.
Not a whole lot.
If I may just interject. So Kennedy Chandler, when he came out of high school, could not shoot the three. All he's been doing in Knoxville this summer is shooting the three. And so he went from, if you went back and re-ranked him now, he'd be probably the number 3 player in the nation, only behind the 2 big men. Guy from Duke, Charlie Arm, and I think the guy from Kentucky. Just wait till you see him. Just like he is amazing. He's like Jordan Bone meets not Chris Lofton necessarily, but some combination of that. Like
these aren't great players, dude. These are Vol players. Your orange and white glasses. Telfair wasn't a great player. I think Chandler would be much better than these dudes.
That's the name of the skill set that he's compared to by 2 different.
You guys gotta bury these orange and white glasses, dude. The rest of the world doesn't see things that way.
So I went back and watched some quick highlights on it. I didn't get the chance to watch the game live, but man, I was impressed by Chandler. I mean, just watching him. I mean, quick decisions. Never hesitated. Knew where to go with the ball. I mean, facilitated the game well. Knew when to shoot, pull up. I mean, just very smooth, very poised. And for a freshman coming in, uh, he's ahead of his time right now for sure. I think he's going to do really well for you guys for sure.
Robbie's a one and
Why
done.
did they say he's like Telfair? I'm sorry.
They're
Is he
talking
6
about
feet, about the same size, 175, 180. Telfair was never that
he's
great
built
of a
that
player.
way. He's built.
I think Chandler's going to be a much better player. Telfair, they put the cart in front of the horse.
No, Chandler's going to be a top 3 draft pick in the NBA.
I'm sure he will be, but Sebastian Telfair isn't a great comparison, is what I'm saying.
I didn't make
They
that
originally compared him to Marbury because I think they were cousins or something. Just entirely different people altogether. Chandler has skills that you can't teach. Do I think he'll be a top 3? I don't know. I think he's got stuff that most people don't have. Yes.
Robbie, finish this up.
Oh, with Vols basketball?
Yes.
Yeah. So this weekend we play. So Ken Palm ranks us 11th. They rank Villanova number 10. I think this is the time Tennessee gets over the hump. Villanova. Then we play Carolina or Purdue, whoever wins that game. I think Tennessee goes 2-0 this weekend. We have veteran players. Hopefully, Fulke's back. 2-0 gets the weekend. We're rolling sweet coming to SEC play in the holidays. And then I can't wait. I bought my whole family Memphis, Tennessee tickets at Bridgestone on the 18th of December. It's going to be awesome.
What's the spread this weekend with Villanova game?
It's not released.
Yeah.
At least on my book. it's not
Robbie
released.
knows people who know people. Robbie, what's this? Okay, let's prognosticate. What's
I
the
bet
spread?
it's Villanova -2, and I'll take Tennessee.
I was going
in
to
a
say
heartbeat.
2. I was going to say 2, 2.5.
I think it'll be higher than that. I was thinking 4.
I mean, they're 10-11 in Ken Palm.
The question is, how much do you guys want to bet? I'll take Villanova.
Name your price.
All right.
I want
Illegal
1.5.
activity happening here right live. It's funny. That's
I want to
great.
pick.
All right, guys. We're running out of time, though. You can work your bet details out later. First of all,
We were going to
I
bet
want to get in some picks for the weekend on the Bet Your Nuts because I've got one that I'm also going to put someone on upset alert, and I'm going to bet my nuts on it. So last week, I put my Bet Your Nuts squarely on the head of the Oklahoma Sooners. And Baylor defeats the Oklahoma Sooners. This week, I am going to give you 2 picks in one. I am going to take Kansas. Let me get the points right. I want the points exactly, so there's no debate about it. It's a pick 'em. It was 1. Now it's a pick 'em. I'm taking Kansas State as my you're on upset alert, and I'm taking Kansas State to beat Baylor head to head. So
Where's that game?
That game is at Kansas State, which I thought it was Manhattan.
I would hope so.
I think if it was on the road, if Kansas State was on the road, Baylor would be favorite, of course, 3 or 4. Jane, you look like you've got a good one. I just feel it.
I don't know if it's a good one, but we're going to go back to the well. I'm going to take Iowa State over Oklahoma.
Ooh,
Damn.
that was on my list too.
Yeah, Oklahoma's just not impressed me. And I know you said I've picked 2 losses in a row or something. I don't know what you were talking about.
You put 2 people in a row on upset alert.
Oh yeah. So I'm putting Oklahoma again for the second week. I agreed with you last week. They're not a good football team, and I can see them in disarray and losing this game. I also did like my bet your nuts. That's an upset. My bet your nuts, which is also another upset, is Utah -3 over Oregon.
Oh, I was wondering if anybody was going to do it. All right, Rod.
I'm taking it.
You gotta put somebody.
My bet your nuts was tonight. I didn't know the spread though. It was the Washington Capitals, who are 9-2 and 5 against the Kings at home. The Kings have won basically 6 out of. Technically, it's hockey.
Okay.
The Kings lost their last game, but it's an overtime loss.
It's
You
hockey.
still get a point.
What is the non-technical?
Capitals. I love hockey, dude. I love it live. I'll go to Predators games. I love seeing Kings games all over the place. Admittedly, if it's on TV right now, I'll just flip, back and forth. But the playoffs in the NHL are almost as good, not quite analogous to baseball. Like every possession matters. If you know the game, it's awesome. Long story short, I'm quite sure the Capitals are favored tonight. I didn't think the game would start by now, but we've been yapping for a long time. But my bet your nuts was the Kings tonight. The Capitals are a much better team. The Ducks just beat them 3-2. But I want to say the Capitals are like 1.5 goal favorite, but I'll just take the Kings straight up because the Kings are starting to play well.
Do you have a upset alert? You want to put somebody on upset alert?
Well, how about the Washington Capitals?
That'll work.
Not Villanova, because I think they're going to beat Tennessee. Football. Well, Tennessee's favored, or Villanova's favored, right?
Oh, yeah.
Football-wise, how about Georgia on upset alert against Charleston Southern?
Roger's been drinking too much tonight.
Anyways,
let's give
him.
Started. How about Wake Forest?
He's just Googling shit
Wake
anyways.
Forest is a 4.5. Wake Forest is a 4.5-point dog at Clemson. I'll take Wake Forest. Sam Harton. I like.
All right, so Randall, my lock of the week is Tennessee minus the points. I can't wait for the nation to see this Vols team. This is like as great as Rick Barnes has been. His weakness has been the 2-point jump shots. He's gotten rid of it. 3 points galore. 3 points for layup. Finally, basketball. You guys are gonna enjoy this.
His weakness has been 2-point jump shots. You guys will convince yourself of anything. That's why I love Tennessee fan. Listen to that rationale, by the way.
No,
they make too many 2-point buckets. They try too many 2-point buckets.
The 2-point jump shot is the worst shot in basketball.
Not necessarily. If
it is
mid-range, then it's the best shot.
Have you seen Stats by Will? No, it is because you shoot.
I don't need stats by Will. I played the game. I don't need stats by Will.
I know, but you're
old. Indian doesn't mean I don't know exactly.
I'm old. I know Brendan
by Will.
No. If you shoot,
the day I rely upon stats by Will is
if you shoot an
elbow
elbow free throw
and the ball.
It's not a good shot. It's a layup.
Unless that's your shot, dude. If you run the same off, I mean Gasol. That's all he did in the triangle. You give him the ball at the elbow, he never missed.
All right,
that's a shot. Stats by Will. What a dork. Who's Will?
Hey,
I don't want
Rod,
to know.
We're at 100 minutes. And Shane's got to get out of here.
Done.
Shane, I appreciate you joining us. Go be on vacation.
Can I give a last thought?
Yeah. I think Shane.
No.
Go around
we want to hear Shane.
Do you have a last thought before you leave, Shane?
Stats by Rob.
Last thoughts. Actually, yeah, watch out. I think the Vols basketball team's a little underrated. Watching the eye test, they are better than Ohio State right now. I can tell you that. Watching both teams, so watch out for the Vols. They'll be moving up in the ranks.
Sir, go be on vacation.
All right, see you, boys.
Stats by Will says don't shoot an elbow jump shots.
They do say that. You shouldn't shoot an elbow jump shot.
I know. They must really.
Wait, man, closing thoughts?
Yeah. I don't know how. I'm trying to add him back. I was trying to mute him, to be honest.
Oh, there he is.
Who,
I was
me?
trying to be funny. Hey, I was trying to be funny and mute you, but I somehow removed you from the stream. All right, guys. Let's go back and get our final thoughts. Brendan had just emailed me and said he had to get off, so I wanted to get him out of here. Let's go around. I'll start with final thoughts. It is fun to lose a football game when you feel like your team competed. And even though Georgia just handled Tennessee everywhere, the stadium to be excited again, the crowd to be full, the stadium to be full. In years past, that stadium would have been 60-40 Georgia fans. And it wasn't. So no shout to moral victories, but it was definitely an old school game environment, and I enjoyed
It didn't
it.
seem like the final score was representative of the game. I stopped watching, but I thought they were there neck and neck. You know, good teams convert third downs. Good teams don't make penalties. Good teams don't turn the ball over. But they were really close to each other on the field. Yeah, and you know, there's not that big of a difference between the two teams. Is there a difference? Hell yeah, but Tennessee really impressed me. Them and their cherub arrow shooting coach.
What's your final thoughts, Raj? And then we'll grab Robbie.
Robbie's a moron because he listens to Stats by Will. I'm just kidding. Rob knows I love him, and he's a fairly bright guy, but don't tell anybody. My final thoughts involve just I'm so stoked for college basketball. Does it help that my team's decent, that Tennessee's decent? Sure. But it's just a great game, man. And there's not going to be, and of course, not to be overly theoretical on this, but there are no BCS points and whatnot. In college basketball, it's always settled.
Nope.
And that's what I love about it. And it's also just great basketball. You know, they say in football, out of a 60 minutes, 45 minutes, there's like 12 minutes of actual action, which is understandable, and I'm not condemning that per se. But basketball is nonstop, and you have to make decisions every time down the court, you know. So I just have a different appreciation for basketball than football. I love football as well, but, you know, Rob and I are some of the very few that, even though our teams aren't North Carolina or whatnot, like we love college basketball no matter what. One of my best friends, Eli, he doesn't even have a team. He's taken off the Thursday and Friday of the tournament every week for the last 25 years. It's the best sports 2 days of the year. Doesn't even drink. He'll drink like 20 beers those 2 days. It's just great. I don't want to say drama. I'm literally, it's the best time of the year, if you ask me.
I agree with you. I agree. My
I
favorite
haven't had that
weekend
much
is
to
spinning
drink.
bacon.
But I didn't eat.
Robbie Davis, close us out for the night.
I wish I had good news to talk about, but I don't. Everyone may agree that the Madison Square Garden is the most world's famous arena. The second most famous is the Staples Center, and it lost its name today to Crypto.com arena, which is just so. It makes me want to throw one. That's where Kobe and Shaq and Gretzky and Candace Parker and everyone grew up winning championships. The Staples Center.
It was the first new arena of the time, but it wasn't just about money, right?
Yeah.
Like they They put everybody there: the Clippers, the Lakers, the Sparks,
Yeah.
the Kings.
I just
agree.
hate this name change.
Crypto.com.
It's so disgusting to me. Like, it will always be the Staples Center. It's the house that Kobe and Shaq built. Like, there's statues outside. There's like, it's one of the icons of sports that should not be changed. I get money's everything, and I get Staples is going into, but man, even Staples Center, little presented by crypto, whatever you want to do. I just wish Staples would have stayed there because it is the Staples Center. I don't know, Randall, if you were there in Southern LA when it was there, like there's Southern Cal when we were there. I was there when it was Staples Center. That's all it was. It was the plaza.
Yeah.
Do you remember the
Staples
Forum?
Center,
Before it was the Forum.
Yeah,
Inglewood
Forum was
Forum.
correct.
It became the Great Western Forum.
Yeah.
And then people were pissed that it became the Staples Center, but
Yeah.
it was one of the few arenas, I agree entirely, especially being born and raised there, that the commercialism aspect wasn't there. It represented it more, and I'm going to wax, and I won't. But, yeah, I agree entirely. Like, there was just a lot more to that place than freaking the easy button or whatever the hell that is. Now it's crypto.com.
It was an LA icon. And like to turn into a cheesy crypto.com, just it just feels weird. Like, I mean, cause like, yeah, like the Rams and the Chargers, they can be SoFi Stadium or whatever. They're new to LA. The Lakers are LA. Like, that's the franchise. And like, they shouldn't play in it. It's just weird. Even though Staples is a company, it's just slimy to me.
How much money must they have taken?
Yeah,
Just
$700 million. I just Googled it.
how much?
$700 million. That seems huge.
That's what
It's weird
USC
to
should
me.
pay. Say it.
It's weird to me that the Mercedes-Benz Dome is the Mercedes-Benz Dome because for 20 years the Mercedes-Benz Dome was the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. So now in Atlanta, it's the Mercedes-Benz Dome, and it's like your arch rival's stadium is now named your name. So
Isn't the one isn't New Orleans now the Caesars Dome?
Yeah, it's
Caesars
something
bought
like
it,
that.
right?
Yeah.
It is? Even though Harris is there?
Yeah, Caesars own Harris.
The Caesars on Harris? Okay.
God, you
All
must
right,
not have
guys.
you don't have your player cards in order if you don't know that kind of stuff.
Dude, they all say the same. M Life.
M-Life. I've got my M-Life card. Guys, I got to wrap it up. I got to
Long
put an 11-year-old. We're over our time anyway. It was a great show. I loved it. Robbie Davis, thank you. And when does Tennessee play Nova? What time is it? 12?
Saturday.
Is it
Saturday, and then they play the winner.
What time's
loser.
the game? Because I'd
So
much rather
Purdue-
watch that game than any Tennessee football game.
Yeah, so
That's gonna
it's
be
at
a
1 o'clock.
sweet
It's at 1
basketball
o'clock
game.
Eastern on Saturday.
12? Okay.
Then Purdue and North Carolina on the opposite side, and so the brackets will come. So it's a 2-game tournament. So win or lose, and they'll play 2 games. They'll play again on Sunday.
So
Those are the better
I can make
teams
it.
overall. Those are the teams to watch.
Yeah, I'll get to see.
Tennessee.
I'll get to
Villanova.
see. I'll get to see the game before the football game starts.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on an airplane. I foolishly booked my
Now
flights
where
during that
are you
time.
going now?
Savannah.
The
You have to
traveling
fly to Savannah?
ridiculous
I thought there was
speculation.
like a.
Guys,
Point being is
Rod,
it's going to be a lot better than the football game.
for Brendan Chain over in Hilton Head, for Robbie Davis headed to Savannah, and for Randall Cunningham headed to work in the morning and go to put his little girl to bed. We thank you for watching Ridiculous Speculation. We'll
It's
see you
reckless
next time.
speculation.
Ridiculous Speculation.
Reckless.
It's only ridiculous to you, by the way.
Reckless.
What's ridiculous is we know your 11-year-old daughter puts you to bed, not the other way around.
Yeah, she's sitting here looking at me disapproving. Her dad's still up.
You
Reckless
put her to bed.
Speculation.
She put you to bed.
Now Wednesdays at 9. Good night.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Oh,
Ridiculous.
like and follow.
Oh yeah, subscribe.